Hello and welcome to FTT Chats. I'm Liz Lumley, and this is where we sit down with some of the great and the good of FinTech for a bit of a chat. And today I am speaking to Kristen Loma of OP Financial. How are you?
Very good. Happy to be here and really looking forward to the event as well.
Excellent. Oh, perfect. Yeah, and I hear you've moved into a new place. So you're
I did. A bit of echoey, but hopefully, you won't mind.
You're not too bad, not too echoey. So we'll take it from there. So I'm gonna ask you our first question that we ask everybody. So who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so as you introduced, my name is Christian Loma, and I work for a company called OP Financial Group, which is, as I used to say, like the biggest financial group in Finland, or the biggest Finnish financial group in the world, whichever you prefer. But we're a market leader. In our market, we offer corporate banking, retail banking, and insurance products. And I run the innovation lab for that company. And it's been my pleasure for the past 4 years. We've had tremendous joy of working together with different business teams inside the company, building services for small and medium businesses, as well as payments and everything in between. So I do innovation, basically. I help businesses find and see the future, and then hopefully when everything goes well, we prepare for that future by introducing innovative new services.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you mentioned the event. So, our October 14th Nordic virtual event, it's coming up soon. So you're going to be speaking kind of on a panel looking at FinTech's impact on society and wellness. And so I kind of, this idea of financial wellness or impact on society has been talked about in many different regions, many different industries for quite some time. What is kind of the Nordic flavor of financial health? How would you describe their viewpoint?
Well, as many of you probably know, Nordics has been bulldozing the FinTech innovation frontier for quite some time. Actually, our bank was the first one in the entire Europe to ever set up online banking, which was kind of a thing that we did out of necessity because we needed to reduce operative costs, but we also wanted to offer better visibility for finances for everybody. And I think that's been the role of technology in Nordics, especially. It's been making tools that help people find the best use of the financials and financial health as a consequence. To us as a company, this is extremely important for another reason. And that reason is that we're actually a cooperative, meaning that we're owned by our customers. And that means directly that we're dependent on the success of our customers. So if the customers don't have a good financial health and are able to grow in prosperity terms, then we don't really have a chance in the future either. So there's a couple of factors there that I think make it very Nordic flavor. And Nordics has been responsible in other sort of like sustainability related areas as well, which this tightly couples down with. So we have clearly a motivation and as well as a sort of a history of introducing technological solutions to help people find more prosperity.
I'm glad you mentioned online banking. I mean, whenever people talk about financial services and FinTech in the region, the idea of cashlessness and removing cash from society comes up often. How does a move towards cashlessness kind of enable some of these efforts?
Well, it does definitely give us better control. And I think that's kind of a controversial thing to say as well, because in 10 years ago, when we were doing research on financial health, what we learned was that as people in Nordics had gone from using cash to using alternative payments, whether that's mobile or credit cards or plastic or whatever, what people seemed to be lacking was the control of their daily finances. And I think the whole industry of FinTech has been trying to solve that problem with PFMs and so forth. I think that's one very important thing to understand and realize, that moving away from cashless does introduce another set of problems. But then again, it does also introduce new set of solutions. And what we've been very successful in the recent few years is that indeed those PFM-like services have been introduced to mobile banking. AI has come along a lot of ways, and it is there supporting people to find more financially sound plans for themselves and get recommendations more actively than perhaps in the old days of banking was ever possible. So I think the two things have really come together. And it's interesting, as you mentioned, like Nordics has been at the forefront of cashless society for quite some time, and the results are apparent, and I think the outcome will be a much more better society in every way. It'll be less of a cost for merchants. It'll be much more convenient for consumers, as has been proven, especially now during COVID times. And in the end, there will be better financial controls available through introduction of mobile services, notifications, and artificial intelligence in the end.
I mean, I think I know there's a lot of sort of, varying topics about removing cash, but I think if some people knew how dirty paper cash was, it would be a very different conversation. But anyway,
Sure.
we'll move on to our next question.
But people are anxious about like pin pads in sort of like point of sale as well. So I think there's going to be a wave of innovation. So not only moving from cashless to card payments, but also contactless, and then on forward to the facial recognition technology really making its way to the point of sale as well. So, but the germs is a good motivation as any to move away from cash.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, here in the UK, once the pandemic started, and we're going to talk about the pandemic soon, they increased the amount you can buy on contactless like immediately. So those are lots of those answers. So so my next question is about the pandemic. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for a time where this is in our past, but most people recognize that the impact of COVID-19 is going to have an impact on our financial health economies for quite some time. Does FinTech have an answer to any of these
Oh,
issues?
absolutely. Yeah. I think what we've been seeing really is like, of course, this is a horrible situation, and nobody wanted to see this happening. And there's like much more serious sort of like consequences for this, both on an individual as well as company levels. And we're just about to see the real downfall of companies as a consequence, or industry for that matter. And my sympathy goes for that. But that being said, as an innovator, I think the positive silver lining, if we might call it that, is that the digitalization agenda has moved tremendously forward. It's not that we suddenly introduce new solutions, but I've always been sort of the fan of like following digitalization as a concept of like humans adopting digital solutions. And we've seen a huge acceleration towards humans accepting digital alternatives now, due to the fact that they don't want to go to the branch, or they want to deal with something on an online channel. And we especially have seen the older demographics move into online platforms and mobile platforms in a rapid pace. And I think that's good for everybody in the end. That'll make these services are much more cost effective to produce, and that'll be an outcome that the customers will benefit greatly from. So that definitely is the silver lining. Digital onboarding and things like that have been becoming actually important topics instead of like just nuances as a side story to the branch story. So I would say that we're a good 2-3 years further ahead now than the pandemic started because of it.
Yeah, I always like pointing out the silver linings. Yeah, I do agree. There's been a lot of acceleration going on out of necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving to keeping with our positive note, we're gonna round up our chat here. And I always like to ask a bit of a personal question, because we don't live on FinTech alone, us in our community. What brings you joy?
Well, I've been trying to, like, I'm a learnaholic, as a lot of the people or colleagues in innovation departments are. But I love to learn new things, and sometimes it doesn't matter if I get good at them or not. But one of the things that I've been trying to learn as a reason during the COVID-19 is painting. So what you see actually in background is sort of like funny painting by me. So that's been an outlet for me when we've been under lockdown and there hasn't been anything else to do but to paint.
Oh,
so that's what I enjoy today.
Excellent, good. I'm very glad that you're painting. I have one of my favorite aunt paints as well, so I have lots of her pictures up in my house. So that's excellent. Great, Christian. Thank you so much for sitting down and having a chat, and we will speak again in October.
You too.
Thank you.